Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's webinar with Deepblocks. My name is Michael Cavone. I'm your Chief Revenue Officer, and this week we will be exploring San Antonio, Texas. And as to continue with our theme in the past few weeks, we're going to continue to show how we can do instant market canvassing, how we can canvass in a market in minutes and look for those off-market deals, find those development opportunities for various uses from multifamily, office, retail, industrial, enter in our criteria and go from thousands and thousands of parcels, find the handful of opportunities very quickly, and again, show you how we can scan these cities and scan these markets in minutes. So I appreciate you taking the time to join us this week. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to use the chat. If you have any questions at the end of the webinar, you can either use the chat or feel free to reach out to me at michael@deepblocks.com if you want to set up a one-on-one demo to explore our software and see how we can work together and apply it to your specific needs. Again, feel free to reach out to me at michael@deepblocks.com. We can set up a one-on-one meeting and demo with you or your team. And we always feel free to reach out as well to set up trials. We offer trials for a few days, sometimes a week, give you a chance to go through and use the software and get behind it. We really want to show you the power of Deepblocks. We're seeing at a minimum 10x on sourcing deals. So again, if you have 3-4 analysts working for you, that's the same as 30 to 40 analysts producing deals for you with the ability to scan these markets very quickly. And just a little quick background on Deepblocks is we always like to discuss, here we're trying to converge and continue to bring together and streamline various data sets into one centralized software package and platform. Our zoning data is our key data set. We're in 100 cities with zoning data. We're in 1,100 plus cities with parcel level data. We also include various data sets from opportunity zones to demographic layers, market rates, as well as different types of demographic trends. And other various types of market intelligence. Software is very simply broken down to two interfaces. The front end is our market scanner, which we're going to look through today and again, canvas markets quickly. And then upon selecting a parcel or selecting multiple parcels to do an assemblage, we can then go through preliminary underwriting and use our 3D modeler, which is the second interface, where you can enter in setbacks, you can enter in income assumptions, cost assumptions, and go through feasibility studies and various iterations to optimize your parcel selection to see what makes the most sense for that particular development opportunity. I mean, ultimately, we're trying to move along the process to say, is this a go or is this a no-go? In the sense of finding these opportunities and moving forward with putting your resources in and behind these parcels. And ultimately, we're trying to save you a tremendous amount of time and money, and allow you to do everything at your fingertips with the software. And again, before our software came along, it was a very fragmented process, disparate information. So again, converging all these various data sets, our database is going extremely rich in real estate data. We continue to add more and more layers. We're expanding to more and more cities, bringing additional functionality. So it's a great time to be working with Deepblocks, as we will help you give you that competitive edge and advantage to find the next development opportunity. I'm going to give a couple more minutes, let some more people join. I'm going to share my screen and like I like to do every single week, just kind of explore our website so you can just get a good idea and good feel of what we have to offer. And here we are at deepblocks.com. I always like to mention the cities that we are in. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we're in 100 cities currently with zoning data. That's all the cities. You'll notice with the red dot, and anything with a blue dot represents all the cities that in areas that we have parcel level data. As I mentioned, we have over 1,100 plus cities in our database with parcel level data and 100 cities with zoning data. And these numbers continue to expand. We are working very hard to add more cities. We're working on the MSAs of the Dallas market, Orlando market, Tampa market, and continue to bring and prioritize certain markets based on request. And so again, if you need a certain city with zoning and it's not on our list, please feel free to reach out to us and we can always work with you to add those cities. And as I mentioned, we're always bringing in other data sets as well. As I mentioned, we have opportunity zones. We show different types of heat maps for certain types of layers tied to zoning, certain types of market information, including our market rates, as well as demographic information. We also have our webinar section where we upload previous webinars. Always feel free to reach out to me too. I can always send you the link to the most recent webinars. Our tutorial section is a tremendous resource where we provide 30 to 60-second video clips. We're actually working on a comprehensive video of, it's a little bit longer, about 2-3 minutes to kind of go through the entire software in a short amount of time. But all these videos will help you see and understand the key functionalities and the capabilities of Deepblocks. And lastly is our pricing. Right now, we're at $36,000 a year for the national plan. We have a state plan that's $18,000 a year, and we also offer a local subscription for $5,400 per city. And always feel free to reach out to me to discuss that in more detail. All right, so with that being said, let's get started. We're going to jump into San Antonio, Texas. Again, feel free to reach out via the chat if you have any questions or want me to review a specific functionality or data set as I go through the webinar. So we're going to jump into San Antonio, Texas. Again, Texas right now, we're seeing a lot of tremendous development going on in the entire state of Texas, specifically in Dallas, Austin, in San Antonio especially, and throughout their MSAs as they continue to expand beyond those primary cities. So there's a lot of tremendous growth going on in that state. So this is a great time again to use our software to find these opportunities and locate these off-market deals that instead of waiting for them to come to you, you can be a little more proactive, jump on the software and quickly go through. And again, one of the key aspects of Deepblocks is you'll be able to scan that market, canvas a city. You'll see thousands and thousands of parcels and build and source out deals and get it down to a handful based on your criteria. So as we are looking here at San Antonio, just a little background, I'm using Google Chrome. We are a SaaS product. You can use it with any browser. We always recommend Google Chrome. I'm currently zoomed out on my screen at about 75, 80%. So the reason I do that is the more I can capture within the viewport, the more parcels I can look at and scan the market. The software is extremely intuitive, so you can move your screen north, south, east, or west. As you enter your criteria, move your screen, it automatically will update and show you the results based on the area you're looking at. So just to kind of get started, let's get a little bit of a feel for San Antonio, Texas, before we kind of jump into the actual market scanner and review the different and look through the different parcels. So I'm going to zoom out a bit and we're going to do a more of a macro level review of this particular city and kind of demonstrate how some of our map layers here work. And just to get a little quick overview, if this is the first time joining, maybe you've been with us before. Our left side is our tool set and what we like to call our inputs. So you're basically using this to help drive the functionalities from here's your satellite layer, here's your parcel selection tool, this is your assemblage tool. You can actually draw parcels within a specific parcel if you want to do subdivisions or model out your own particular model or type of development play. And then the market scanner, as I will demonstrate shortly, you'll be able to enter in your different criteria to narrow down your parcel, your results to find that particular parcel and development opportunity. On the right side is what we call our outputs. These are all your various map layers that will overlay on top of your search. And they pretty much spread throughout our general tab, our people or demographic tab, residential, hotel, office, retail, and industrial. And then we also have our demographic trends, which I will again demonstrate how they are represented. Just a little of insight of what we're working on. In addition to what you're going to see today is we're actually in the process and very close to launching our comparative analysis reports. You'll be able to compare cities based on various key data points, understand which city that is you're seeing more development potential based on certain uses, according to population, according to land value, according to all these very important data sets. And once you kind of select the city and that is more advantageous for your development play, you can then compare census tracts and hone in on certain census tracts within that city. We actually have the ability to look at the different census tracts in various cities. So once you kind of say, all right, these 3 census tracts make the most sense. So again, we kind of walk you through that process. You'll say this San Antonio is more beneficial versus Dallas for my particular development play based on these different factors. Then you'll say to yourself, all right, within San Antonio, these 4 census tracts make the most sense. And then once you kind of have that indication, you'll focus in on those census tracts. So those are things coming your way very soon. At the moment, we have other ways of guiding your search. So for instance, we have our buildable area ratio, extremely powerful heat map to show you where we're seeing pockets of density, where we're seeing development interest going on, and we're a lot of activity. Again, anything that's in our map layers, you'll notice we have a map legend underneath our market scanner. It'll tell you how that data is sourced, how that data is also represented in the indexing for this particular heat map. It goes basically from a hot red down to the yellow. So this orange is kind of where you're seeing some very high density in terms of development. And that's great for understanding pretty much any volumetric play for any of the asset classes. Unit densities, again, another very strong layer. This is more tied to understanding multifamily plays. But again, you'll notice as I'm going to zoom out a little bit more, anything with that deep red, it kind of gives you an idea that that's a minimum of 100 units allowed or more. In the orange, you're looking a little bit between 10 to 100, and anything below in the yellow is at below 10. So this kind of indicates, it gives you an idea where there's capacity or possibilities of development where, so if we kind of zoom in on some of these dark red areas, we'll find potential properties that are not meeting that capacity based on current zoning. So maybe there's an existing building there that's from 1935 that's only has 5 to 10 units, but meanwhile it's zoned for 100 units. It's just kind of an example like that. So you kind of look for those areas if you're trying to find some multifamily development play. So that's just these are two key heat map indicators to help guide your search. We also have our opportunity zone layer as well that you can see throughout the entire country. And as we all know, opportunity zones provide tremendous tax incentives as we do our development play. So I'm going to continue to zoom in. So let's just go back to that buildable area ratio. And this is just a way of, again, getting that macro level view, understand the entire market of San Antonio. We're going to start kind of here in the central location, and we can kind of work our way north and south, and then again, find some opportunities. I'm going to focus first on multifamily. We can jump into some industrial uses as well, and try to find, again, the key behind these recent webinars is to show the ability to canvas these markets very quickly and how to use our tools to search that market. Again, so between the buildable area ratio and unit density, we'll kind of focus in on our search, but the true power is behind this market scanner and the ability to enter in specific criteria to find that next development play. So let's start to zoom in, and the market scanner will begin to activate once we see our parcels appear. And zoom into a certain point, you'll see the blue outlines appear in any second. And then once they appear, we know we're ready to begin searching and canvassing the city. All right, so here we go. Now we have our parcels appearing. Anything outlined in blue, that basically represents the various parcels throughout the city. So just to kind of give you a little indication of how many parcels we're looking at the moment, one little trick is, we go to lot size activate and just do 0 to 1.5 million. It should pretty much capture almost every parcel. So right now we're looking at 4,600 parcels. I'm going to see if I can capture a little bit more. So 4,600 would be the most I can capture on my particular monitor at the moment, and based on, so we're at 4,700, and based on how I'm zoomed out. Again, so if you have a bigger monitor, it allows you to actually capture more parcels and really scan the market even greater. But we're looking at 4,700 right now. So again, we're going to start with multifamily. And just to, again, understanding Deepblocks and the process of searching and finding these opportunities, we standardize this throughout all the cities that we are in throughout the country. So all 100 cities where we have that zoning information, this process I'm going to go through is the same process that you can basically use in San Antonio, you can use in California, you can use in New York, you can use in Florida, wherever we have our we're live in those cities. And it just allows you to bring your search criteria to any place, and it gives you the ability to scale very quickly. So you have one or two ways of driving your search. We can start with zoning districts if you know your zoning codes. Another way is just to enter uses allowed. And if you kind of want to go beyond that and just want to just work on lot size, if you know the certain acreage you're looking for, certain minimum units allowed, you can activate any of these pieces of criteria in any fashion that you feel is necessary. But for, again, my example for this, I want to start out doing some multifamily. Now, the use allowed vary between the municipalities based on each city. So for multifamily plays, we're going to actually enter in, we're going to do 2-family dwelling. We're going to do 3, 4. I believe they have 5 as well. And then they also have, okay, so it's 2, 3, and 4. And then they also have a multiple, you'll see a multifamily dwelling asset or uses allowed. So now you'll see we just went from 4,700 down to 894 parcels matching just in this particular area of San Antonio. Keep in mind, at any point you have parcels matching and you see these parcels highlighted in that green, you can export to CSV all the parcels. So all 894 can be exported to a file where you'll get a list of all the legal addresses, all the zoning information tied to those parcels, as well as all the some demographic data, 15 important columns of information that allow you to create and begin sourcing. You begin your sourcing process to find those deals. And we are going to be bringing ownership information into the state of Texas very shortly as well. We are actually going through all of our cities as we speak and updating the zoning, updating all the parcel level information, and just to keep everything current. We like to at least once a quarter update our zoning information and market information and other rates that come from our machine learning. We routinely update throughout each release that we do throughout each month. So the next step is here, let's start to look for specific and kind of refine the search. So I'm going to look for anything over a minimum minimum units allowed of at least 100. All right, so now we're looking at 3 parcels. So there you go. We're just very quickly, we went from 4,700 down to 3. These are all zoned for these uses allowed and a minimum of 100 units allowed. So right there, we got our 3 parcels. Now let's kind of continue to move throughout San Antonio and see what else we can locate. So I'm going to kind of move north a bit. And you'll notice right here in this particular part, we have 10 different parcels throughout. And the only reason I'm doing this, I kind of want to just demonstrate first before we start selecting parcels and working on the feasibility study. I just kind of wanted to show the ability to go through and see how fast you can find various parcels matching your criteria. Now, again, I only have limited information at the moment highlighted for these searches, but we're getting some good results just by activating the use allowed and estimating units allowed. So let's keep moving up. Let's see what else we can find. Now, keep in mind, if we're looking for certain types of plays, so what I might want to do is maybe I'm looking for a certain type of multifamily play. One way before we activate the median income slider, we can actually look and let's apply that median income layer. So we can apply this layer, get a kind of an idea. And I'm going to zoom back out for 1 second. And we'll see the different median incomes throughout San Antonio. So if we're looking for a more of affordable housing play, we might be looking more in a lower income area. If we're looking for a high-end multifamily play, we might be obviously looking for incomes of a different magnitude. So we can kind of apply this layer And we can kind of keep it on. Now we're going to zoom back in until the parcels appear. And you can use this one of two ways. We could leave this layer on, and you'll see the parcels will be highlighted underneath, or we could actually activate our median income slider and put in certain income levels that we are looking for based on our search. So you'll see we have 4 parcels matching. You'll notice here's one right here in that 41,000 range. We have one over here in that 61,000 range. We have another one up here. We have 2 up here that 35,000. Listen, this could be actually a good assemblage play. So we have a couple in this lower income area. And one way to kind of like explore this a little bit further is we can go down to our demographic trends and kind of say to ourselves, all right, maybe I'm interested in this particular area. Now it's a lower income area, but maybe there's some growth going on or some trends happening in this particular area. So what we can do is zoom in a bit. And we can say to ourselves, now there are some existing buildings underneath here, so this might not work, but just to kind of demonstrate the demographic trends and how these indicate what we're seeing in a particular area, you'll notice that we can compare different areas, and I'll show you quickly as the color appears on the map. So that's right there. You'll see that shade of blue is 180202. Let me leave that on for a second. And then the ones where the parcels that are highlighted are 180201. So we're going to turn the other ones off, and let's look at 180202 and 180201 for 1 second. And let's see what kind of trends we're seeing. So 180202, you'll see there's an incline in population where 02.02 is kind of on a decline. So this area is a little bit on the up and up in terms of population. Let's look at employment just to see if we have improvement in employment as well. Yep, you'll see right there a little bit of an incline in employment population, another good indication. Let's look at now median gross rent in this area to see if that's increasing. And it is increasing slightly, kind of flattened out in recent years. And lastly, we can look at household income. So these are just ways of kind of studying, analyzing the area and saying, all right, do I want to kind of focus in on these parcels or continue moving on with my search? And you'll see the median household income is on the incline. Now, just want to show you real quick, we can turn on that satellite layer as well. We do see there's a lot going on these parcels. So these might not make the most sense because there is existing buildings on there. That does not mean that's off the table. Again, we represent all off-market parcels. So this could be a little bit more of a negotiation or a way of figuring out how to develop here, but there is a lot going on these parcels. So let's continue our search and continue moving based on what we have in play. Now, again, I got to re-enter my criteria here real quick. All right, so we have 7 parcels matching, minimum 100 units allowed. Let's see if there's anything. I'm going to actually turn it on. We're going to go 0 to 65,000. That way we can kind of also highlight. All right, so let's continue moving through San Antonio, see what else we can find. Please feel free if you have any questions or want to review something. Don't feel free to use the chat and let me know what is on your mind. Just going to continue to kind of search a little more. All right, one thing I'm going to actually do is drop this down. If we're going to drop this to 50, we're going to make this max 100. See if there's any plays right there. All right. This actually could be a good play right here. We have existing building data. We have it's vacant land, and we have median income of 32,000. So this could be on a little on the lower income side. But again, as we look at the census tract, let's see what's 1810.05. Turn these off for a second. The income's on a little bit on the up. Yeah. Median gross rent on the up and up. Let's look at population. Population is also on the incline. So this could be a nice little play right here. We have it's allowed, estimated units allowed is 53 units. The approximate buildable area is 314,000 square feet. Building height of 45 feet. You'll see our uses allowed, our breakdown of uses allowed, our setbacks and parking by use. So this could be a great little play. We could work through our feasibility. I'm going to save this address. We can come back to it and go through a feasibility study. So again, just kind of quickly wanted to highlight how we can, again, go through, enter in our criteria and find these different parcels that meet our guidelines of what we're trying to find for our next development play. Going to kind of continue to move throughout the city and see if there's anything else that catches my eye. And remember, you can always minimize these panels too if you want to try to capture more of the screen in case they're kind of blocking your view, and just open up what we are looking for. All right, so this is more residential as we get up into this area of like single family dwellings, it seems. All right, let's head back down. We're gonna go back towards the southern part of the city and just see if anything else pops up. Again, this is the benefit of using Deepblocks. Again, we're going through and quickly just going through, looking at all these parcels. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of parcels, and just with our criteria in place, looking for that next opportunity that makes sense for what we're trying to accomplish. Now, listen, if you knew certain lot size you might be looking for, so just to kind of give you one little example, let's say we're looking for 2 acres of parcels, and let me actually turn multifamily back on. Sorry about that. But we can also do, you can do 1 of 2 ways. You could look for a massive parcel that covers 2 acres, or we can look for numerous parcels of a certain size that will create an assemblage that will add up to that particular total acreage you're looking for. Sure why this keeps. All right, so we got stuff going on in these parcels. All right, so that one play looks like a pretty good. We'll focus in on that particular parcel that we were looking at earlier. Here's another one we got right here. Another existing building that's vacant, 66,000 square feet. So we got a couple that we are on our list. So let's actually jump in on this. So right there, in matter again, we're pretty quickly, we found 2 pretty solid parcels that are meeting my criteria, and between that 50 and 100 units allowed. So let's jump. I want to quickly show you how we can to go through preliminary underwriting and go through that feasibility study. An analysis, we'll do multifamily. We'll also see what else it's zoned for. We can possibly do some mixed use for this particular play. So we jump in to this next interface, and now we'll analyze and work through our 3D model and massing. Here's where we enter in our assumptions. We enter in our income, our setbacks, our income assumptions, our cost assumptions, and again, see what the most optimal play is, what makes sense. Again, this is a 1 year back in the envelope return on costs. We're trying to see if this particular parcel will make sense for what we're trying to accomplish. Again, so we were just looking at that property info. It gets moved into this next interface. So again, we have our units allowed at 50, but the first way to kind of start to work this, we're going to look at our parking by use is 1.5 spaces per unit. So we'll jump down into our parking, put 1.5 in. You'll see that parking appear. Our setbacks are 5 and 10 secondary and rear. So we'll jump into our setback mode, and we will assign specific setbacks. So this is our primary right there. Here's our rear. Our secondary will be right there. I'm going to leave both sides for secondary. We can adjust setbacks in this particular mode, or we could go back to where we see the 3D model. And remember, you could always adjust setbacks on any certain floor. We have these measurement tools where you can lay out different floor plans and kind of get an idea of what makes sense on each floor as well. So let's go back. That's let's exit out for a second. We're gonna look at that 3D model, and I'm gonna work on the setbacks here. So we had 10. I'm just gonna make these both 10, because I believe the setbacks were 10 and 5. 10 for secondary, sorry, 5 for secondary, 10 for rear, but I'm just gonna put 10 for both, because I just want you to see the actual setback. I'm gonna make the garage, I'm gonna make this a little bit greater. And you can see that we have a little bit of a tower on top of the garage. You can see that pale green shows you the actual setback for this particular parcel. Let me zoom in a bit. Now we can always throw on the existing building layer too to see what's kind of surrounding here. Now, this particular building, you'll notice the zoning says it's only for 50 units allowed, and it's at 45 feet for the building height. So right now our building height is at 114, so we're a little bit too high, and we will adjust that. Anything we do on the left side, again, this is our input side on the left side between the setbacks and assumptions, and the right side is our output. You'll see your breakdown of the financial analysis, and then you'll see your breakdown of assumptions. All of this is automatically calculated and computed for you. So as we adjust anything that's on, from anything that's got certain square footage to different financial values, everything is automatically updated for you. So also keep in mind, we have now the ability to break these units down specifically to what we are interested in looking at. So these can be identified however you see fit. I'm going to leave the descriptions alone for the sake of this example, but as I mentioned, this is showing that 58, I believe the units allowed was 50 point, it's 50. So let's bring this down to 50. Let's just do 52 bedrooms for the sake of this example. Let's also adjust this to make this 950 square feet. We're going to reduce the amenities down to 5,000 square feet. And now you can see you got a little bit of a smaller building at the moment. We're at 24 feet. So we're actually well under. So we could actually work on upping this a bit. We can increase either our unit size. So let's make these 1,500 square feet. And again, we can look at it one ways. We can go back to define building, look at that height. We can go to the assumptions and look at our building height right here, 34 feet. So let's continue to make this a little bit, these apartments a little bit bigger. These could be maybe some type of loft of sorts. Now we're at 44 feet, which is right within line about 45 feet. And we can continue now work on that income side. We do, again, pretty popular with sub-market values for this particular census tract. But again, we leave everything adjustable in case you see that you can get a little bit more money, maybe do 1750. Right now we're at a very low ROC. So obviously we have to work on this a bit to try to improve that ROC. Maybe this doesn't make sense for this particular parcel. Again, without going through it in extreme detail, just is a way of entering and quickly go through, as I mentioned, and say to yourself, is this parcel make sense for what we're trying to accomplish? Now, just to kind of jump back, because again, I'm trying to stay more focused these last few weeks on scanning these markets. So, right here, we have these two addresses that I picked up pretty quickly that were tied for multifamily based on my search criteria. It was this particular address and then the other one at 5520 Magic Drive. Now, the amazing thing about Deepblocks is that this was for multifamily. Let's jump in quickly and show you some industrial plays. Let's see what we can find quickly in a matter of a few minutes as I end this webinar. Let's see what industrial plays are out there. So again, I'm going to take off units allowed. Let's take off that median income for a second, and now see. I think a great metric or piece of criteria for the industrial play is let's activate this buildable area slider. So let's say I'm looking for 50,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet, and see what comes up. All right, so now we have 8 parcels matching. So that's a nice little start for us. And again, we can kind of start to work our magic. Just again, we also have, as I mentioned, we have our market rates. We can kind of see what the industrial rates are here. This is $1 per square foot. We are generating these rates based on our machine learning. And we basically take an aggregate listing data throughout the country, break it down by geolocation for each census tract and again, apply our machine learning to bring a relatively strong baseline of a market rate that we're seeing currently. So about $9.84 for these particular industrial plays and potential development plays for industrial. We can also turn on our road types. You can see what kind of road types are going on. Let me turn the satellite layer off for 1 second so you can see these road types. And again, anything that we have here, as I mentioned, in our map legend, we will explain what each that data is represented. But let's continue to kind of scan a bit. I'm going to turn that industrial rates back on for 1 second. We're going to continue to move a little bit throughout, see what else we can find for industrial plays throughout San Antonio. Got 5 in this particular area. See, they're all right here along the main road. So again, just quickly identifying parcels. These are $7.24 per square foot. We could always throw on the employment, so employment layers. We can, again, turn on these demographic trends and just see what makes the most sense for us for these particular industrial plays. I'm going to kind of scan a little bit more north in San Antonio, see what comes up. They were kind of seeing more and more opportunities with 15 parcels matching. Still relatively in that lower dollar per square foot, so might want to continue to search a bit. Now here we go. We got one in the $11.49 dollar per square foot area. And just kind of, so we continue to scan a bit and just look around. But again, that's just want to again exemplify the fact that we can jump between all these different asset classes from multifamily. I mean, we can now jump in if we had some time, go into the retail, into office. You can actually look for mixed use, see which parcels are zoned for multifamily and retail. So the flexibility to find these parcels based on, again, what your criteria is and what you're looking to develop is extremely powerful with Deepblocks. So you can do it very quickly, go through the market, again, put it in this specific criteria that we're looking for and find those plays. So, and as I mentioned, you turn on, you enter use allowed. We got industrial, we have 9 just right here in this particular part of our San Antonio. So, just to kind of recap, I just like to always demonstrate again. I've been trying to focus in on instant market canvassing over the last few weeks through various cities, so you can see how we're standardizing that process and that search as we give you the ability to scale and bring your development operation throughout various markets. And again, Deepblocks is the way to get yourself in those markets and do it much quicker and give yourself a competitive advantage and save yourself money, save yourself a tremendous amount of time. Again, feel free to reach out to me at any time if you want to discuss this further. Reach me at michael@deepblocks.com. Again, michael@deepblocks.com. I appreciate you taking the time to join us this week. I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Feel free to always reach out to me if you want to discuss other cities, certain functionalities, certain data sets. Please email me. We're always looking for recommendations. And again, I do appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Take care.